Yeah, I'm telling you, bless you just like sneeze, son. Come on, yeah, this is all of my needs, son. I believe. Just believe in myself. Just believe in yourself. Just believe in yourself. Just believe in yourself. I said, you gotta believe.
Yeah, Juarez. Yeah.
Just believe in yourself. Just believe in yourself. Just believe in yourself. Just believe in yourself. I believe in people, including you. Yeah, together. None of us is fools. Yeah, using the universe like a tool. Yeah.
Yo, what's up, man? What's going on? I'm gonna tell y'all another story from my Fed case. Follow me on my Instagram at The Podcast Was Sold. If you want to send me an email, thepodcastwassold@gmail.com. And if you want to buy a shirt or some of my merch, thepodcastwassold.bigcartel.com. If you want to sign up for my 8-week program, it's $2,500. You work out with me no less than 3 days a week. It's probably going to be more. I'm going to put you on a diet plan. I'm going to put you on a psychological plan. And you're going to guarantee lose 20 pounds. Guaranteed. And you're going to work out directly with me for 8 weeks. You're going to FaceTime with me. We're going to do some exercises. It's going to be fully interactive with me. There's nothing online. It's going to be fully with me. If you're in another part of the world, what we'll do is we'll go on the FaceTime and we'll work out that way. If you're in New Jersey, you'll be in luck. We probably could work out sometimes together in person. I paid my lawyer $61,459.47. That's what I paid my attorneys, because I had 2 lawyers. The day I caught my Fed case, it scared me so bad that the way it went down, the way they raided my office, they came in my office about 20 deep with the windbreakers and the whole joint. And I said, Sean, you got to get a lawyer. And I went online and I looked I knew I didn't need no family lawyer. I knew I needed a big time lawyer. I didn't even know the extent to what trouble I was in at that point. And I think I might have called the lawyer and told them what happened. And they might have told me, said, Sean, you need a federal white collar crime lawyer. So I went online and I found this dude in Fort Lee, New Jersey. My office was in Clifton, New Jersey. I lived in Jersey City, New Jersey. And I called this lawyer in Fort Lee. He said, come on over. I went over to his office. I went upstairs. He was in one of them big high-rise buildings. And I sat down. It was free consultation. And he told me, I told him what happened. He said, my fee's going to be $50,000. Now, this is in 2011. This is in 2011. The exact date was April the 14th, 2014. That's the exact date. Because right after they raided my office, I called and started calling lawyers and trying to lawyer up. And I went straight over to his office. He said, 50 grand. I knew I was in trouble. I knew that with that amount of money, I had the money, but I knew, it wasn't like, give me 1,500, and this may could run you 3,500. He said $50,000. So I left him. I think I went back to my office and I was shook. I was shook. I was scared. And I said, what I do next? I think I went and had my LASIK surgery done the day after that. I had LASIK surgery done because my vision was bad. I spent like $3,200 on that in 2014. Now you could get it done for probably $500, if that. And the next stop I did was, I don't know how I found this lawyer. He was a white dude. The first dude I went to see too was a white lawyer. The second dude I went to see was a white lawyer too. And he was down in Central Jersey, like Madison, around that area. Madison, New Jersey. And I called him up. He said, come on down. I told him what happened. And I think his father was a federal judge or had been a federal prosecutor or something. Or either he himself had been a federal prosecutor, an assistant U.S. attorney. And I told him what happened. Now, that ain't how it went. That ain't how it went. Bad information. But hold that story right there. The next dude I went to go see, I found him online. And when I found him online, he was a white boy lawyer, Jewish lawyer. He was a super lawyer. They had him as a super lawyer on the internet. He was all over magazines, you know. He had been a federal prosecutor. And I went to see him. I called him up. I went to see him. And when he came out, I think we discussed the price over the phone before I went. I think he said his retainer was $25,000 retainer, and then he would bill me for work done. So I jumped in my car. He was in Newark, New Jersey. He was down there in Newark. I rode down to Newark, went upstairs to his office. Yo, I could remember this man like it was this morning. You know, traumatic events in our lives, we never forget those. There's something that happens to the brain called neuroplasticity. I went down, I met him, they gave me a badge. I went upstairs, they put me in the conference room. And I had my tailor-made suit on. I was clean as the Board of Health, my Johnston Murphy shoes, silk tie, silk suspenders, dope shirt, monogram, tailor-made suit, or it might have been my Brooks Brothers suit or Hickey Freeman suit. And I'm sitting there in the conference room waiting for him to come. And when he walks in and he sees me, he starts telling me the deal. He says my hourly rate is $700. And then another attorney walked in with him. Two attorneys walked in with him. He introduced himself and he introduced his other partner attorney, and he says, we are going to work on your case together, me and him. My fee, my rate is $700 an hour, and his rate is $700 an hour. And every time you come here to meet, you're going to meet with us, both of us. And then he said the retainer is going to be $35,000. I said, but you told me $25,000 on the phone. He said, yeah, but after listening to this case, it's going to be more. But I think after he saw what I had on, you know, I looked like money, so he said, I might as well get his money. So he said the retainer fee was $35,000. I had my checkbook. And, you know, he told me, I told him the whole story. And he says, well, what we need to do is we need to get on this immediately and stop the bleeding. We need to slow this case down. He said, nothing good ever happens fast. Any case that's moved along fast, it's never good for the person being charged. He said, we need to slow this case down, slow it all the way down, and let the judge and the process see a whole bunch of other people before they see you, so then they just, you know, not take you too serious because the case is so old. So I said, yo, let me think about it. So, I left and I started calling some more lawyers. And I found this dude, this other white boy down in Madison, who I told you previously, who had been an assistant U.S. attorney. He was now an attorney. I went and I told him my situation, and he said his fee was going to be $25,000. That was going to be his fee. And this is in 2014. And he said, Sean, he kept it real with me. The white boy kept it real with me. He said, Sean, he said, man, there's not much lawyering in a federal case, in any type of federal case, unless you're going to trial. There's not much lawyering. Your sentence will be based upon the guidelines, the sentencing guidelines. You know, so wherever your case falls, category 1, category 0, category 1, category 2, category 3, category 4, category 5, level 30, wherever it falls on that grid, that's the guideline range that the judge will sentence you based on. Now, the judge can depart from the guideline range and give you a lower sentence, or the judge can depart from the guideline range and give you a higher sentence, depending upon how they feel. He said, man, I'm not going to play you. It's not much lawyering. He said, it's not like a state case. So I remember I got up and I was leaving. And I had told him about the guy that I had went to see that had the partner, where it was the two lawyers that was $700 an hour, who was this super lawyer who was well known in New Jersey, well known in the Southern District of Manhattan Federal Court, well known in the Brooklyn Federal Court, just like in this New York City metropolitan area, he was well known. And I went to the bathroom to take a piss. I went and took my piss, and I was walking out, and the dude, the lawyer, came out, the one that had told me his fee was $25,000 and that there wasn't too much lawyering involved in federal cases. I stepped to him, I said, hey man, let me ask you a question. I think his name, I forget his name. I don't want to say his name. I said, I asked him about the dude, the two lawyers that was $700 an hour, but I asked him about the one lawyer specifically, who was the lead. I said, what's up with this guy? What about this guy? He looked at me, and he said, Sean, if you can afford him, go with him. Don't go with me. He said, he's got connections in Washington, D.C. He's got connections in New York. He's got connections all over the country. If you can afford him, hire him. And I'm telling you this, and I could really lie to you and have you pay me $25,000 for a fee, but I'm telling you the truth. Don't give me $25,000. Don't hire me. Hire him. And I respected that lawyer for doing that. That's what he told me. So I took his suggestion and I hired this lawyer and his partner. And sure enough, every time I met with them, Both of them came, so I was paying $1,400 an hour for legal fees. And then they had this other white dude who was a private investigator. He was on the payroll. And then they had this other white girl. What was her role? I don't know what she was doing. But she was on the payroll. So I had like 4 people working for me. And my total bill at the end of the day was $61,459.47. And I remember after the feds had came with the search warrant and they had took all of my clients' paperwork, they had took all of my paperwork. You know, once I hired my lawyer, I told him, I said, yo, I need to get all of my paperwork back, man. All of my clients' documents, their W-2s, their checks, their paperwork, their tax returns. And he arranged for me to go to the IRS Criminal Investigation Division storage inventory where they kept all of the confiscated materials and retrieve my information. And I went there with, he didn't go and the other lawyer didn't go, but the other white dude I told you about who was the private investigator, me and him went together to the IRS Criminal Investigation Division to get my stuff back. And when I walked in there, when me and that private investigator walked in there, the 2 special agents that interviewed me at my office that came on the search warrant squad was there and took me to where my information was. And when he seen me, and then he seen the private investigator, and we told him who our lawyer was, he said, who's your lawyer? I said, so-and-so. He looked at me like this, the IRS nigga. He said, good choice. Good choice. Telling me good choice about the attorney I selected. And I got my stuff and I dipped. But now this is my second confirmation that this dude is money. So, you know, we going. He's calling me down for meetings every once in a while, and sure enough, every time I go, it's him and his partner. $1,400 I'm paying an hour. Phone calls I'm getting charged for. Emails I'm getting charged for. You know, anytime he lifted a finger, it was a charge. So at the end of the day, my bill was $61,459.47, and we hadn't even gone to court yet, so it was gonna be high. And I think he told me when I went to meet with him, he said my retainer's $35,000, and he said, Sean, this case may run you up to $75,000 to $100,000 to represent you in this case. I said, okay. I had the money. That I didn't have no problem with that. And he told me this. And he said, I can't promise you you won't go to prison. He told me that to my face. He told me that to my face. He said, man, my fee, my retainer is $35,000. You paying us $1,400 an hour. Your case may run you anywhere from $75,000 to $100,000, and I can't guarantee you that you won't go to prison. That's a true story. Yes, he did. But I figured that if I paid him that much money, I wasn't gonna go to prison. I was ignorant and naive to the feds. See, in my opinion, the feds don't care how much money you got. And I don't believe you can buy no fair case unless you are a senator or, you know, you connected with the most elite people in this country. You can't buy no fair case the way you can buy a state case. I believe that if my case was a state of New Jersey versus me, I would have bought it. Period. But you can't buy no fair case. No. I don't believe. And I talk to a lot of niggas in prison, and a lot of them feel the same way, share the same sentiments. So, by this time, this is like 2000. I caught my case 2011. So about 2 years goes by. I gave you bad information. April 14, 2011, not April 14, 2014. This whole process started April 14, 2011. So around 2013, 2 years done gone by. You know, I'm just chilling. You know, he ain't trying to rush the process, and neither am I. Because I just got a newborn son. Little Sean was just born. I'm spending as much time with him as I can. You know, by this time, I done blew all of my money, the majority of my money, in the options market, trading options with a desperate mentality, depressed, angry, afraid, like just the totally wrong mindset to be trading in the markets I was trading in. And I lost about 600 grand in the market. About 650,000. I lost my own money. So about this time, I hook up with a cousin of mine from down south, from South Carolina, but he was living in Charlotte. He had did some fair time, and I was calling him, and I was talking to him about my case and how I was afraid, and I didn't know what was gonna happen, this and that. And he said, Sean, he told me straight out, he said, Sean, he said, man, Sean, you got to get this shit behind you. You can't do nothing with this shit in front of you. You got to get this shit behind you. Man, call your lawyer, man, and tell your lawyer, man, you ready to go to court, man. Call your lawyer, man, tell your lawyer you ready to go to court, man. Because you can't do nothing with this in front of you. You got to get this shit behind you. And it made a lot of sense. And that's what I did. I called him and I said, look, man, let's get this over with. It was like 2 years I was sitting around, 2.5 years, maybe. And he said, okay. And he set up a meeting with me, him, and the government. And he called me, he said, Sean, I set up a meeting with the government. Well, he told me he was going to. So I flew to Las Vegas, me and this honey flew to Las Vegas, me and this Dominican girl. And we stayed at the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas. We was out there chilling. I'm gambling, you know, chilling with her. We went and flew the helicopter over the Grand Canyon. You know, they got them glass helicopters where you fly in them and you can look out. The helicopter is just a glass, so you can look out and you see the whole thing. We did that. And I was laying in the bed one morning, and I looked at my phone. I had a BlackBerry phone, BlackBerry Curve, remember them? And I had a voicemail. And I checked the voicemail, and it was my lawyer. And I put this voicemail on speakerphone, and he said, "Yo, Sean, this is so-and-so. I set up a meeting for us with the government next week. We're going to meet such and such time, such and such place, and we're going to get the show on the road. I'll talk to you soon." And I'm looking at the voicemail, and he stopped talking, but there was like, the voicemail was like 2 minutes long, right? So normally when I listen to a voicemail, after the person stops talking, I just delete it, right? But for some reason, he talked for like maybe 37 seconds, but the voicemail was 2 minutes long. Somebody trying to call me. So I just let it play. And what this nigga did, after he said what he said, "Sean, we set up a meeting with the government, such and such time, such and such place, next week, give me a call, and let's get this show on the road." He thought he hung his phone up, but he didn't. He just put it down, and the voicemail kept recording. And I'm listening to the voicemail, and I hear him tell somebody where he is. He starts talking to somebody else about my case. And he says, "Oh yeah, this is the guy, this is the dude who was Robin Hood. He was giving his clients phony deductions. He was Robin Hood. If you know the story about Robin Hood, he robs from the rich and gives to the poor." So I don't know who he's telling this to. I don't know who's sitting in his office, where he is, or whatever. So I listened to it. I said, "Oh, shit." And I listened to it again. And now I know that's a violation of attorney-client privilege, my duty to privacy, my duty to confidentiality, right? Lawyers are bound by that, right? Those are the the privilege of prudence, duty of care, duty of confidentiality, right? And he violated the duty because I don't know who he's talking to. So man, I was hot. I was mad. And I picked up the phone to call him right there and give it to him on the phone. But I said, "Nah, Sean, wait till you get back. You flying back in 2 days. He already told you to come down to his office and meet with him at 3:30 next week. And you go 3:30 next week." So I waited. I flew back from Vegas. And I went and I picked little Sean up from daycare. And me and little Sean went to his office. Little Sean was 2 or 2.5. He couldn't be still for nothing. He was 2-year-old baby, toddler. And I brought a speaker. I brought a little speaker and the jack to hook up to the speaker and the jack to hook up to my BlackBerry phone so that I can play the voicemail out loud in front of him and his lawyer partner. And I remember me and little Sean went upstairs. We was in the conference room. And they came in and I had everything set up. It was him, the partner, the other white dude, the private investigator, and this white girl. I don't know what the white girl was there for, but she worked for them. And he came in and he said, "Hey, Sean, what's going on, man? How you doing?" He said, "How you doing?" I said, "Man, I ain't doing too good." I said, "I ain't doing too good." He said, "What's up?" And Little Sean was sitting right next to me, man. And for some reason, y'all, Little Sean was as quiet as a church mouse on Sunday. When any other time in his life, a 2-year-old, he would have been all over that place making noise, throwing stuff, knocking stuff down. But he sat there. And I played the voicemail. Boop! And when everybody in the room heard it, the white dude that was the private investigator put his head down like this. The white girl put her head down and she started writing. His partner just started looking like this. And the main lawyer, he turned red as a fire truck. He turned red as a fire truck. And I had my folder with all of my checks, because I made copies of all my checks. I paid him. And I showed him all of the checks. I showed him the $35,000 retainer check. I showed him all of the checks that added up to $61,000, $459.47. And I said, I called him by his name. I said, "Yo, show me on this check where it says Robin Hood. Show me on any of these checks that I gave you that it says my name is Robin Hood." And he couldn't say nothing, man. He was stuck like Chuck. And I said, "Man, I don't know who you was talking to, but what I do know is that you violated attorney-client privilege, my duty to confidentiality." And I said, "I want my money back." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, I can't give you your money back." And his partner looked at him like that and says, "Ho, ho, 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 ho." He stepped in. He said, hold up, Sean." And he tapped my man. He said, hold on. And he said, "Sean, we gonna work this out." His partner. And I got up and I dipped. And the very next day, I started calling down to that law firm. I tried to call him direct. I was calling his cell and his office phone. He wouldn't pick up. This is a super lawyer, millionaire, white lawyer, big time, big shot, big name. Wouldn't pick up the phone. Wouldn't call me back. And y'all, to tell you the truth, if he would have just called me and apologized to me and said, "Sean, man, I'm sorry. I fucked up, man. I made a mistake," I would have said, "Yo, cool, man. You keep the money, man. Let's keep on rocking. You keep representing me." But he didn't do it. He never once got on the phone with me after that. All he would have had to say, "Sean, let's go get a slice of pizza, man. Let me buy you a slice and a soda. Let me get me a slice and a soda, man. And let me make this right. I made a mistake." He wouldn't do it. I had to get on the phone with the general counsel from the firm. I had to call the head of the firm. and they offered me $40,000 back. They were gonna keep. They said we got to keep 25,000, but we'll give you the rest back. I said, no, hell you ain't. You giving me all my money back, and I got all my money back. I got all my money back, and I went and got me a public pretender. I got all my money back, but that was devastating. You know, like I say, during this time, I was in a depression, man. You know, I had lost like $1.2 million. All of my rental properties were in foreclosure. I had lost about 600 grand in the market. I'm getting investigated by the feds. My business revenue is cut in half. You know, I'm just losing all the way around. And then my own attorney, y'all, I said, man, how much worse can this get? I said, man, how much worse can this get? And you know, I said, man, how much worse can this get? And it just got bad. And y'all hear my fish tank? And I got my money back, and I got a public pretender. And I remember when I went to meet with the public. I went to meet. After I got my money back, I fired my man. I got my money back. I was representing myself at that point. I make arrangements to go see the assistant U.S. attorney and the special agent who was in charge of my case to tell them what happened with me and my lawyer. I'm ignorant. I'm dumb. And I'm thinking they're going to feel sorry for me and somehow make my case disappear because I've been done wrong by my own lawyer. And they didn't care nothing about that. I went down there to meet with them. The special agent came in. He put a tape recorder down, and the assistant U.S. attorney was there. I guess they thought I was getting ready, like I wanted to cooperate or whatever. But I told them about what happened, and that was it. And they were like, is that all you want to say? I was like, yeah, that's it. And they didn't care nothing about that. So I hired me, I didn't hire him. I asked for a public defender. I got the public defender. And me and him with it was a black dude, was the public defender. The assistant U.S. attorney on my case, the prosecutor, was a black girl too. Yep. I got the public defender, and I pled guilty. You know, I copped the plea deal. I had a 28-count indictment for aiding and abetting in the preparation of fraudulent tax return. I think I pled guilty to like one count. $84,000 loss. My base offense level was $84,000, so it was mandatory prison time. The public defender was talking to me about things I could do to file a 5K1 and become an informant and wear wires and wear cameras and all that. And I said, nah, man, I'm not doing that. And you know, by this time, Sean's mother had 27 days before. Well, then I went to court, August the 4th, 2014, and I pled guilty. To the plea deal, and they sentenced me to prison, 18 months. And 3 days after I pled guilty, no, it wasn't 3 days. That's a lie. That was August the 4th, 2000. 2014. 27 days, so around September the 9th, I think it was. Something like that, yeah, September the 9th. I pled guilty August the 4th, 2014. September the 9th, I think it was, 2014. 27 days before I was supposed to surrender, Little Sean's mother filed for custody. She went to Paterson, New Jersey, filed for custody from me. And that was another devastating blow, right? Because I hadn't given her no reason what I was going to do. Where the fuck was I going? I was going to prison. Of course you're going to have, but I went to court on that, tried to fight that, and we ended up agreeing to joint custody. But that was totally unnecessary. I was heartbroken by that. And she was living with her kid's father, who knew me. And I did his taxes too. And I had to leave my son with her, and she was living with this guy that didn't like me because I got his lady pregnant who worked for me. She was my secretary. And she filed for custody. And I had to go to prison. And I told my public defender, I said, yo, I can't go to prison, man. I can't leave my son with this girl and this dude who hates me, because I've been fucking this kid's mother and got her pregnant. And I'm gonna leave my son with him? And all he could tell me was, all I could do was cooperate to stay out of prison, to fight for custody. But I told him that was something I couldn't do. I had to go in. I had to go to prison. I was devastated. I was so scared for Little Sean. It wasn't even funny, man. But you know what? It was all my fault. I put myself in that position. I don't blame nobody. Everything that happened to me in that case was all my fault. I did that to myself. Nobody did that. I take full responsibility for everything that happened. Everything that happened to me, everything bad that happened to me, I deserved it because I put myself in a position for bad things to happen to me. So, I just went on to prison, man. I just went on to prison. What was I gonna do? They wrote me a letter. They said, Sean, you gotta surrender to FCI Morgantown, West Virginia, October the 4th, 2014. If you're not there by 12 noon, at 12:01, we will issue a fugitive warrant for your arrest and the U.S. Marshals will hunt you down. They wrote me that in the letter. The letter had United States of America versus Sean Gumby on it. All my paperwork had that. When you get a fair case, that's what your paperwork say. United States of America versus you. It don't be the state of Ohio versus you, or the state of Minnesota versus you, or the state of Georgia versus, I should say the United States of America versus you. You wanna, man, you read that shit scared the shit out of me when I read that. Man, I said, yo, what did you do? So this is a true story. This is a true story. Go on my website and buy my books, man. I talk about my whole fair case in these books. Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. Stigmatism in My Soul. I wrote it. Pictures of me and Little Sean on the back. These are $25 a piece. A lot of y'all want to figure out how to support me. You can support me this way. I'll sign the book for you. If you buy the book, I'll sign it for you and I'll call you on the phone. The website is thepodcastwithsoul.bigcartel.com. That link is underneath this video. What else? Yep, that happened to me. That's another story from my fake age. Y'all like these stories or what? Go follow me on my Instagram, The Podcast with Soul. Peace.